Hello and welcome to my knitting channel. My name is Charlotte and this is a Charlotte Totteknits Knitting Podcast number 1. I am from Germany. You might have already guessed it because of my accent. And I live in Leipzig. I live in a flat with my husband and my toddler, and this is going to be my creative outlet on the internet to talk about knitting. About 1.5 years ago I became a mother to, like I said, my child. Now it's a toddler, and it was a pandemic back then. I think we all remember that time, and I felt very lonely, so I started to looking for a hobby. And yeah, I found sewing, but I was not that happy with sewing, so the light is coming in quite a bit. So I started with sewing and didn't feel that comfortable with it, so I picked up my crochet and I learned to crochet when I was in university. So I studied also here in the city where I live, and I studied pharmacy, and during the courses I learned how to crochet, but I just did beanies back then, not much more, and on quite a big hook. And then there was a time where I crocheted some carpets. I might enter some pictures of that here. So I picked that back up and started to crochet some stuffed animals like her for my little baby. Oh, I'm sorry for the light. And I enjoyed it really, really much, but I ended up with a lot of cute little stuffies like her in a very, very short amount of time. And my baby back then was not that much into stuffies, obviously. And I did a lot of them in a very, very quick time, and I was like, yeah, maybe I need a hobby which is still fibres, because I enjoyed working with fibres. I just used plant-based cotton back then, and so I thought maybe I start to knit. So I was taught how to knit by my mother. Her mother, so my grandmother, was a very, very advanced knitter, and I put her back down. Sit here with me. My grandmother was a very advanced knitter back then. She died when I was very, very young, but she taught my mother how to knit, but my mother was not that much into knitting. And when I was about 8, I wanted to do some blankets for my stuffies. So my mother taught me how to cast on, how to knit, how to purl, but that's basically it. So moving fast forwards about more than 20 years, I'm 31. Years later, I was like, yeah, I might pick up my knitting needles, and this was last year, like I said, in 2022, and I fell in love, and I knitted a lot. And I'd like to speak to people who might also be interested in fibers and fiber arts. Just get in contact. So, as a disclaimer, I will put all my body measurements down below. I know for some people it's triggering. It will be just in the end of the info box. I will also link everything I mention, everyone I mention, down there. If I don't remember someone, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, as my first knitting podcast, I thought I might start with everything I knitted in December of 2022. And so here we go. My first finished object is, it's her. It's this beauty. It's you can see it. Is the Jenny sweater. It's designed by Petiteknit. I knit a lot of Petiteknit. I like her patterns. I think they're very classic. They work very well with my wardrobe. I want to be very intentional when it comes to what I put into my wardrobe, what I need to put to my wardrobe or into my wardrobe. So I knitted this in drops Lima without any mohair, and I'm very happy that I don't add that much mohair. I like mohair, I like the halo, I like the look of mohair, but with all the fluff going on and having a toddler who is wearing a soother, it's just everywhere, and I don't want to have it especially in his mouth all the time. So I'm not that high into adding mohair to every one of my garments I'm making. So I gauge swatched for this I think in October. I did some Christmas knits in between, and I knitted a size medium. I knitted it on 3.75 millimeter needles, and I followed the pattern. I love the pattern. It is very straightforward, especially on the arms. It tells you with every round what you have to do, where to increase later, where to decrease. It's a bottom-up construction. I did one repeat less of this smock stitch details on the body and one repeat less on the arms. So one of my favorite details is when you, I'm sorry for my nails, when you do the ribbing, you are doing 2 by 1, and then you pick up one stitch to have this 2 by 2. And I think it's a beautiful detail. I like this detail. It's a tiny detail, quite a lot. I wore it quite a bit ever since. It peels quite fast. That's something you have to keep in mind. But I love the pattern. It was very straightforward. I thought when I was knitting it, okay, I'm just doing it for the product. And during knitting it up, I felt like, oh, now I fell in love with the process. So it was, in the beginning it was a project knit, and then it became a process knit, which was quite lovely. I enjoyed falling back in love with my knitting. So I finished this on the 1st of December, and one of my first podcasters on YouTube, who I watched, I think almost every video she put out there, was Bethany from Well Enough Knits, and she said she wanted to knit the zipper sweater man for her husband, and I wanted to knit this too for my husband as a Christmas gift. So it has quite a story. So this is the zipper sweater man for my husband. So I actually knitted this twice. The first time I got the Soundless Garn Feeds yarn, like the Patty recommended, back in August, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this now, have it done, so Christmas I don't have to bother with it anymore. So I knitted it up, and it is quite a rustic yarn. And I did a gauge swatch, but I did not wash blocked it. I did not block it. So what happened was I knitted it up in a size medium, and it grew quite a bit. And I wanted my husband to put it on, so I was sure he liked it, and he was like, yeah, no, there's no way I'm going to wear it. It's way too big and it's way too scratchy for my liking. And I was like, okay. So I sold it. I was very fortunate to have a friend who was like, yeah, I might give it a try. So in October, Bethany, so I needed some break from this project. And in the end of October, Bethany mentioned that she started knitting it for her husband. And I'm sorry. So, knitting it for her husband, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to start it again if I want to give it to my husband for Christmas. And I went on Ravelry, and also she mentioned that she knitted it in drops Nepal, and I was like, yeah, maybe that's an option. So drops Nepal is a thicker version of drops Lima, and I already had drops Lima for my Jenny sweater. So I knew I liked the texture. I showed my husband the yarn, and he was like, yeah, it's fine, he likes it, it's soft, it's cozy. So I went down in the sizing and knitted it for him. He likes his fits to be very on the more fitted side of things. So yeah, here it is. I think I need to go back and put the zipper in again, because it's a little bit wonky, and not that I'm a perfectionist. I'm far from being a perfectionist, but I like my husband to have it as perfect as I can get it, and this is not as perfect as I can get it, so I might do it again. So this is this. Now we are on a very, I hope not that sad, but right now I'm feeling quite sad about it, because I knitted a Sophie shawl. I watch a lot of podcasts in the time when, for example, my baby is asleep in the afternoon, or my toddler, and I think he's outside. He's playing outside with my husband. And I really enjoy watching also the videos. On YouTube she's called Merino Knits, and on Instagram she's called Like Other Women. And she had this beautiful Sophie shawl, and I was like, ooh, maybe I need this. And I was very quick with my zipper sweater. I knitted it up in 10 days, I think. By the way, I knit continental style, not English, and continental. I know how to knit in English style, but I prefer to knit in continental style. So I knitted up I went to my local yarn store, got some very beautiful yarn in long yarn Angelica. It's a wool silk blend. It's very beautiful, and I went to work yesterday. I had to work in a later shift, and I think I might have lost it on public transport, which is very sad. I have the hope that I might have forgot it at work, but the hopes are not that high, and I really loved it, and it was very practical. Yeah, that's a very sad thing to keep my mind. Not think about it too much. Let me put it that way. So I love it. When I really lost it, I will knit it again. I think again in the same colorway, because it's so beautiful. So when I finished that, I was like, okay, it's maybe 2 days to Christmas. My husband and my son were very sick. They had the flu, and I was like, yeah, what can I do to comfort them? And I still had to work. So yeah, I had not much time to cast on things, but I casted on something when the 24th came around, and I was here with them and I knew everything was fine. So I casted on the Cumulus blouse, and it's again by Petiteknit, and I knitted it in Knitting for Olive Merino, held double in the beautiful color Dusty Artichoke. So I ordered this yarn back in October, I think, and with holding a double, I ran out of yarn quite quick, so I had to reorder it, and I needed, so I knew I had to reorder it, and I knew that this is a very popular color, so there might be the opportunity that I might not get the exact dye lot again, but because I held a double, I mixed the one skein of what I had left and one skein of the new one, and it went up totally fine. It was smooth sailing. So yeah, that's what it is. Because my gauge was a little bit too big, I knitted, it was recommended, I think, for 4 millimeters or 4.5 millimeter needles. I knitted it on 5 millimeter needles, and I knitted a size medium in it, and because I went up with the gauge, it fits. So I like my things to be oversized, but I wanted something which was a little bit more snug, which a little more fitted. So I knitted this up. I finished this exactly on the 31st of December. So in the evening, just before New Year's, and I knew, okay, then my knitting year 2022 is done, and I can start with something new in the new year. So here is my current work in progress. I hope I might get a little bit more adventurous with my knitting in this year and do some more projects at one time, but right now I'm very monogamous. It works with my mind, so I know where I am, I know what to do. I keep notes, I have a knitting journal, but it helps me. So I had quite some time ago seen someone on Instagram, I think it's Olivia. She knitted up the Sunday pullover mohair edition in this lilac shade, and I know lilac is all about the internet, and I liked it, but like I said, mohair and me is a tricky thing right now. But back then, Drops had a sale for the, I know I have another skein, just a second, there it is. They had a sale for all their alpaca yarns, and I found this brushed alpaca silk in the color 17, and it's called lavender, I think, and it was beautiful, and I knew it was thicker than the mohair, but I knew the meterage I might need, so I ordered it, and it was very, very affordable. And up to this point, I like it very much. It knitted up beautiful. So yeah, I like the pattern. It's very straightforward. In the moment I'm still on the yoke, and yeah, I'm taking my time this time with my knit. I don't want to rush through it. So yeah, that's my work in progress. Let's move on to acquisitions. So when I knitted this zipper sweater for my husband, I knew I liked the zipper from Petiteknit's shop, and back then they had this sale for their project bags too, so I picked up the zipper and a project bag where usually my work in progress lives in. And I like the colorway, it's so classic, it's very clean, and so I got this for me as a little St. Nicholas present, and I enjoy it very much. I like taking it with me to everywhere. So this is my first acquisition. So I'm just talking about acquisitions I made in December. So my next acquisition is, like I said, Marlene had quite a big impact on my knitting, and she talked in her video about Olivia and Oliver fibres, as well as Chelsea from True Lane Knitting Podcast. And I thought, yeah, it's beautiful. I was not that much into hand-dye yarns, and one day I browsed on Instagram and I saw someone wearing a beautiful hat, knitted in a garden stitch with a nice pom-pom. And then later that day I browsed on Olivia and Oliver fibres, and I saw this beautiful shade in the color eggnog, and she had her sale, and I was like, oh, that would knit up beautiful. So I picked up one skein. This is the Merino DK. It's 100% superwashed merino, and yeah, I don't have a pattern. I might just gauge swatch and wing it from there, and we will see. Or I might browse on Ravelry and find a pattern I like. I have no rush in doing it, so for now I just look at this beautiful, beautiful hang and enjoy it quite a bit. Oh, also the author of the books where these stuffies are from released another book. I have it in the other room. And I pre-ordered it in my local bookstore, and it arrived in December, and I think I might crochet some animals again out of this, and we will see. But yeah, maybe later. Also, I picked up some drops Lima again. Of this I have a sweater quantity. It is drops Lima in the colorway 9024. It's called Almond, I think. And I saw someone on Instagram. She's called She Craft Loves, and she knitted the Moby sweater for herself and her partner. And I knitted the Ingrid sweater this year, and I knitted it in a very, very light creamy shade, and I enjoy it, but I did not feel like knitting cable textures that are again in this color, because I already had one. But I like the Moby sweater, I already have the pattern, and I got myself the drops Lima. This time I might pair it with a mohair. I don't have the mohair yet. And then, like I mentioned, she knitted the Moby sweater for herself and her partner. And I thought, oh, that's such a cute idea. Maybe I might knit this up for myself, for my husband, and for my toddler. So next Christmas we could take pictures, all of us are wearing the same but different jumper, like yeah, in different colors, because also Petiteknit already released the sweater for men. Yeah, I thought that might be a good idea. So also my sweet parents asked me what they should get me for Christmas, and I said, oh, maybe this. So this is the gynt gun by sizeM gun in the color tweed, and it's a beautiful, beautiful colorway. And back in summer, Petiteknit knitted up the Louvre sweater in this colorway and put it on her product pictures, and I thought it looked so beautiful, and I liked the design, I liked the high neck, I liked the raglan decreases. I like a good raglan. And so also she knitted gynt, and gynt has the music piece is written by Angelica, as you might know, and he lived in Leipzig, where I live. That's not the reason to get a yarn, but it also helped selling the point to me. So this might be the Louvre sweater, and we will see. So my last acquisition is this sock yarn. I do not intend to knit some sock with it. Sorry about the light. I don't intend to knit many socks with it. I intend using it and knit up the penny gloves, because my son is in daycare and he has someone who is a teacher who is very, very sweet, and he's so in touch with her, and her birthday was in December, and we was all ill in December, like I think most people have been. And I thought, yeah, maybe for Valentine's Day he might gift some penny gloves to her. And she likes earth tones, and I think I have some mohair left I might pair with it. And he picked this out himself, so I showed him the yarns, and he was like, yep. Took this out, and I was like, okay, we are going to buy it. And so this is the story behind this. So yeah, my plans for the future. First of all, let me drink some coffee. Yeah, right now, first of all, I want to finish my pullover, and then I might cast on my Sophie shawl again. Maybe do it in between, so I have it again if I really have lost it. Also, I'd maybe knit up the Moby sweater. I feel like it. I feel like I need some intense work, and this is some intense work I'd like to get into. I also want to get myself into summer knit this year much more than last year. Last year I knitted 2 or 3 things, and they were all a little bit off, and I didn't really enjoy them, and some of them I frogged already, so I ripped them all back on because I was like, no, I'm not going to wear them. I can reuse the fiber. And I'm thinking about, for spring, knitting myself the Friday tee by Petiteknit, and getting maybe the yarn. And she has it in this beautiful striped colorway, and I like it very, very much. So yeah, that might be a plan for the future, and maybe with a Moby sweater. So this is so my top 3 things to knit up are, or I'm going to knit up, definitely going to knit up the penny gloves, and then for my work colleague who has birthday in February, I'm going to knit up some very simple vanilla socks. And so these 2 are sets, but for me, I'd like to knit my Sunday sweater, and maybe a Sunday sweater, and then the Moby sweater for myself, and there might be some time for the Louvre sweater and the Friday tee. So there are 4 projects. Yeah, I don't think I will do them all in the next 2 months or 3 months, but we will see. We will see. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it, leave a comment if you did. I'm super nervous about posting this. Putting myself out like this is making me feel a little bit vulnerable. If you like, I could post a video about all the things I knitted in 2022 and still have. I would wear them if I still have them. Otherwise, I would enter pictures and explain why I don't have them anymore or why I frogged them. Yeah, that would be quite a fun video, I think. Or in my opinion, I like to watch this kind of videos. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you are healthy wherever you are, and stay kind.